The Brooklyn Beekeepers Club, where we do beekeeping naturally, would like to present to you a series on urban beekeeping. We have renovation tools going off, we have dogs barking, planes flying overhead, fire trucks going by, and we have beehives in our backyard and on our rooftops. Now, the first thing to consider when beekeeping, as you would with anything that has any kind of danger, is safety. That's why every time I approach my hive, I always put on my hat and veil. It's very important. Now, it's one thing to get stung in the arm or the hand, but to get stung in the face, the cheek, the nose, the lips, it's not sexy. So always wear your hat and your veil. Now, when approaching a hive, you always want to approach your hive from behind. You never want to stand in the front where the flight path of the bees are, or where the front entrance is. Now, at this point, we will open up the outer cover. A lot of beekeepers have a smoker going. They'll put a little smoke under the lid, close it back up. That drives the bees into the hive, away from the beekeeper, but it also stresses out the bees. And I don't like my bees to be stressed. I like them to be relaxed and calm and doing what they should be doing, which is hopefully collecting nectar and turning it into honey. So I like to work just very gently and smoothly. And we're going to place that as close to the front of the hive as we can. And here we have our inner cover. Now let's talk about the honeybee for a second. It would take around 1,100 bee stings to be fatal for the average person. 500 bee stings would be the equivalent of a rattlesnake bite, but just one bee sting would kill somebody that is allergic. As a responsible beekeeper, you have to make sure that you have an EpiPen handy. Jab it in the leg and call 911. This hive, in its peak summer production, which it is nearing the end of, will have between 40 and 60,000 bees. The bottom two boxes are filled with honey and brood, and that's what the bees keep to overwinter. Anything above that, the beekeeper can claim as excess honey. Fortunately, the bees always make more honey than they need if they're a strong hive and it's been a good summer. And that excess honey is what we beekeepers collect and use. So let's open up the inner cover slowly and smoothly. Again, you want to open it away from you. And you'll want to put the cover as close to the front as possible. We haven't had any rain. There's been very little nectar flow, so I doubt these bees have been able to make any honey. But we'll check a frame anyway. I see we have a wasp in here. You have to be very careful. You have to be very careful that when you have your hive open, that wasps don't get in and that other things. You can't have your hive open for very long. It's never a good idea. So we're going to do just a quick hive inspection here. We'll check some of the frames and see how production is. Without much rain, you really won't have much honey. Now the bees have brought in some nectar, which is at about 60% water, and they reduce that down to 17.1%. And the sugars go up, and that's what makes our honey. Each honeybee can make about 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey, and it would take about 1 million flowers to make 1 pound of honey. In flight time, that would be 3 times around the planet for a bee, and each bee lives about 6 weeks. Not a lot of honey on these frames right at the moment. Not a great honey flow. So we'll just put this back in here. And we'll close up the hive. Again, slow and smooth. That's a general hive inspection. Now, we really want you to consider safety first when beekeeping. From the Brooklyn Beekeepers Club, Mickey Beeman, Hagedis, and the Brooklyn Bees are, where we do beekeeping naturally. Be safe.